Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds.
Hey everybody, this is Evan and John, and you're listening to the Boomer and X Show. Alright, good evening everybody, and welcome again to the Boomer and X podcast show extravaganza festival. Yay! Alright, we're coming out of a big weekend, football weekend, and also a little thing called the Golden Globes last night. You might not. You probably didn't.
Did you watch it?
I watched some of it. It's an appetizer before the Academy Awards, which I actually do pay attention to. But that'll be coming up in a few weeks, and we're going to hit some pretty good movie talk leading into the Academy Awards. But I did watch some of the Golden Globes last night. I think Tina Fey and Amy Poehler did a real good job. They hit a lot of topics, and some of it was the Bill Cosby stuff. I thought the funniest joke was, now you know that George Clooney recently got married, and his wife is very accomplished in many, many, many things. Mm-hmm. So the joke was they lined out all of her accomplishments, and then the punchline went something like this: and she did all of those things so that she could be with her husband tonight while he receives a Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, it wasn't exactly that, but
and they're getting divorced, huh?
No,
that was fake.
I don't. I mean, tabloid garbage talk. Who knows? Yeah. I thought the joke was funny. And last night in his acceptance speech for receiving the award, Lifetime Achievement Award, he said a lot of wonderful things about his new bride. So hopefully all's well there. But I don't get into stars and their lives and all that kind of stuff. I just kind of paid attention to the awards last night, and I thought the joke was very, very funny. But Michael Keaton, he gave a really good acceptance speech. I guess he got, I think they categorize it in the Golden Globes as comedy, musical, or drama. There's separate categories, and I believe Birdman, which is a movie that he was nominated for and won for, I believe it was in the comedy category. So anyway, it was I had it on while I was doing other stuff, which is the way I watch about 80% of my TV. I have it on while doing other stuff. But on Saturday, you and I actually got together and we're working on a project during the NFL playoff game between Baltimore and New England.
Oh yeah, man, that seems like forever ago.
Just a couple of days. So there was a controversial play. Now I will admit to not seeing the play because we were working on something. The TV was on, the game was on. I didn't see the play. Everything I've read about it afterwards was that they didn't break any rules. They, they whatever. I guess there was a substitute. Was there a substitution of a player?
Some kind of weird way they were substituting.
Now, I guess the notification came via the stadium PA. Yeah. I think any notification of a player should come from an official.
And it might have. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, from everything I've read, they didn't. There were no rules broken. They were on the up and up. I felt like New England would win. It was a very close game. For a while, it definitely looked like Baltimore was going to win the game, but
I was definitely pulling for them too. I didn't want to. Now, of course, the main reason is because I didn't want the Broncos to have to play New England. Right. They didn't even win their Colts matchup.
They didn't win their game. Let's see. That was the AFC game on Saturday. The NFC game on Saturday was Carolina at Seattle.
And we all knew how that was going to go.
There was no real surprise there. Seattle is playing extremely well defensively. They're playing very well. Russell Wilson is playing well. Marshawn Lynch, is playing well, which I guess is fine if you're not a member of the press and you have to interview him afterwards.
Yeah.
But I thought, the game that I actually sat and watched most of was Sunday's game between Green Bay and Dallas.
Good game.
It was a good game. I tell you what, early on, I really felt like Green Bay was in a lot of trouble because, to me, the whole thing at Green Bay the whole thing flows through Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't sharp. He wasn't moving around.
He was hobbling around at some points.
Yeah, he wasn't, because you watch him when he's really on his game. He does a lot of damage after he moves out of the pocket. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't moving out of the pocket at all. And he was getting pretty good protection, but as the pocket closed in and he wasn't able to escape and get out in the open and either run or throw the ball, he wasn't playing well, and his throws weren't accurate. I thought, man, they might be in trouble. But somehow, somewhere along the line in the second half, he really got better on his game. And
yeah, and of course in that game there was a big controversy with the pretty much last play Dallas had, or the last play Dallas had.
Yeah, because that was like a
Romo
fourth.
never got a chance to touch the ball after that.
Right. I was watching, and when he caught it, I thought, well, they've got the ball first and goal, at the one.
And then that's a touchdown for sure.
And when the Green Bay coach challenged, and they had made a point earlier in the broadcast that he was
0-5 0-5
for the season, and I thought, well, dude, you're not going to win this one. And but he challenged, and they overturned it. How do you feel about the call?
I feel that that's the rule. The rule is exactly how they called it. Eventually.
Right.
I don't like the rule though, but they called it correctly. The reason I like the NFL so much is because they're one of the only sports leagues that if something doesn't work, they're going to change it. And I think that's going to be brought up because it's a big controversy, and the refs deciding the fate of a game is not what fans like to see. And the NFL is going to try and keep that from happening.
Well, you say you don't like the rule, and I'm gonna stick up for the rule just a little bit. I'm gonna defend it because in the process of coming down to the ground, you have to maintain that ball. And here's a very important distinction: the ground cannot cause a fumble, but the ground can cause an incompleted pass.
Oh yeah.
And if you do not like the rule, how do you change the rule to ensure that a player has to maintain control all the way through hitting the ground and the ball not being jarred loose? If you change the rule, how do you change it and make sure that still happens?
Well, I was only talking about where he was clearly stretching for a touchdown and not trying to maintain possession. He was trying to get a touchdown out of that.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but I think when you're stretching over, if you make it across the plane and still fumble,
but he didn't make it across the plane.
I know he didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about it to challenge it, but I know.
Okay, so you're making a distinction, and you're saying that it wasn't the fact that he fell and the ball got jarred loose; it's the fact that he was extended,
yeah,
and the ball came loose.
It's that if he can do that, if he can extend for the touchdown, he clearly has control of this ball, and that's when it was jarred loose.
Of course, I kind of have a feeling about the whole extending for. Why risk the ball security?
Because he's Des Bryant.
Well, but I mean, it's not just him. I mean, I see it game after game after game. In fact, probably multiple times a game, a player will risk ball security
for an extra half inch.
For an extra, and clearly, even if he wasn't in a position where no matter how much he extended, was he going to get over the goal line in that play? And here's something else you risk, and the rule I'm about to bring up is one that I totally cannot stand at all. If you fumble near the goal line, and let's say the ball, a football can bounce any number of directions. If it bounces out of bounds, if it goes laterally and it bounces out of bounds, it's your ball there.
Mm-hmm.
But if it takes a little bit of a different angle and bounces into the end zone, and just a corner, and then bounces out of bounds, it's the other ball. It's the other team's ball. And I hate that rule. It's so random.
Yeah.
And I believe that rule came into play in a game earlier in the season with RG3, didn't it? I think it did. And it's random. And I think every rule should serve one of two or both of these two purposes. Not give a team undue advantage, and protect the safety of the players as much as can be done in a situation like a football game. To me, that rule does neither, and I would really like to see them address that. And I know we kind of got off topic just a little bit, but I guess I went there because we were talking about maintaining ball security when you're anywhere around the goal line. Now, and you'll see guys, and look, I understand a lot of them score. A lot of them score by extending the ball like that. But you'll also see guys do it in traffic, and they'll lose the ball in a pile, anywhere close to the goal line, trying to extend, and I don't know. I just like to see players put more into ball security, and unless it's a fourth down, I get it. If it's a fourth down or if time's running out, but I just like to see players put a little more into ball security and a little less into risking getting a touchdown on that play.
So there were 4 games this weekend in the NFL. We've got the Colts going to
New England, right?
And we have Seattle at home
against Green Bay,
hosted Green Bay.
Coming up, yeah, for the next week. Yeah, the AFC and NFC championships game coming up next Sunday.
I think if Aaron Rodgers starts out the way he did, Seattle's going to blow that game away.
The way the Seattle Seahawks are playing right now, you better go in there and play your best game. And I agree with what you're saying. Rodgers he clearly was far from 100%. Back on Sunday, and I doubt he'll be 100%. The crowd will be on him early. I'm not sure what the weather expectation is with regards to any kind of rain or wind. If you remember last year in the playoffs when the Saints went up there, it was the weather was definitely a factor with wind and rain. I want Green Bay to win. I really, really, really want Green Bay to win.
Overall, or just
of the teams left, certainly.
Okay.
I mean, I
want the Colts.
Well, right.
I guess out of the 4, that's who I'm going for.
Well, I just don't care for Seattle, the team. I like the city. I don't care for the team, but I'd like to see Green Bay win. There was something I wanted to ask you. Of course, Dallas played at Green Bay, and to me, they are the exact opposites when it comes to franchises. You have Dallas that plays in, from everything I've heard and read, is one of the most architecturally amazing sports venues
I would love
in all likelihood on the planet. But they played in for what me as a football traditionalist is sort of the be-all, end-all of traditional stadiums, Lambeau Field in Green Bay. If you had a chance to go to see the great, wonderful building that is Jerry World and go see a Dallas game, or go to Lambeau Field and go see a Green Bay game, which one would you choose?
Jerry World. I'm not huge into the traditions, which is what Lambeau Field all is. I mean, they pretty much, they've spruced it up there,
True.
But it's pretty much the same. I mean, they keep Lambeau as traditional as possible.
Right.
But I would love to, just everything top of the line football you can think of is in Jerry World, and I would love to see that. And
I would like to go to Lambeau. I really would. And there's another thing I like about it, because you see them in cold and snow and bad weather. That stadium is packed.
Yeah.
I mean, they are passionate, and they're not fair weather fans. I'd like to see a game in that. Wait, we forgot. We talked about next weekend. We forgot to talk about Indianapolis at Denver yesterday. That was actually the fourth game of this past weekend. we skipped that altogether. Yeah, so you wanted to skip it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we can't. We got to talk about it a little bit.
I think Andrew Luck is just a beast, man. He dominated that defense.
He did. I mean, they played well.
And that's another way. That's my way of saying Peyton Manning did bad. I mean, I just don't want to say it, but he didn't do good. And now, I mean, we're seeing stuff now that he's playing with a torn quad and all this, and still, I mean, no excuses.
Well, I sent you a text as that game was ending.
The Manning era is over.
The Manning era is over. And I really think that we saw the last. And what did he get? 3 extra, I'll call them bonus years after the neck surgery, right? He got 3 bonus years. He was able to write so many records in the record book in that 3 years. He made a trip to the Super Bowl. He didn't win, but he made a trip. I'm talking about just the bonus 3 years now. I'm not talking about earlier. I know when he was with Indianapolis that they got him a Super Bowl championship against the Bears. I think it's just time to hang it up. And I understand that there was an injury this year that we're reading now came about in the middle of December against the San Diego Chargers. I think it's just time. And the new revelations that we've seen this evening, to me, I thought it was probably a 70-75% chance he was done after last night. With the developments now, I can't, because John Fox is gone.
And I also saw, and I didn't see anything else on it, that the whole coaching staff was fired. I don't know if that's true, but I know for sure John Fox.
Right.
And they just parted ways, you know.
Yeah.
That's I mean, John Fox isn't his era done. I mean, there's plenty of teams that need coaches.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he'll
but
go
I think,
somewhere.
I think Manning's going to play one more year at least. Get him a couple millions.
Oh, he'll get that in commercials.
Yeah, that's true. But I think he's at least going to play next season.
I'll be surprised. I say we do a double or nothing on our Tiger Woods. For what it's worth to our listeners, we have an ongoing bet that we made last year for $1 million. And I said that I didn't think Tiger Woods would win another major. And you said you felt like he would.
Yep.
I'm almost willing to make it $2 million and say he'll never win another tournament.
What was it that he just came back from something when we did make that bet?
Some sort of surgery or something, or
but
back.
Since it's just been
he hasn't done anything.
Downhill.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Tiger Woods does not win another major.
But
that
bet spans until he's done.
It is.
It
spans until he's done.
Until he's dead. Because he can always come back.
Well, if it spans until then, I may not collect because I'm quite a bit older than he is. See, I knew there was a loophole.
Oh, yeah.
I knew I should have seen the $1 million before I made the bet and gotten you to sign off on something. Because now you're pulling all kind of until he's dead stuff on me. I think Peyton's done, and I'm not saying I hope he is. I mean, I don't have anything against the guy. I'd be surprised if he plays anymore, especially given what we've seen with all of the coaching turmoil and everything that's occurred this evening. So we've got the AFC Championship game is Indianapolis at New England. Do you have a prediction?
Yeah, Colts got it.
Okay, I'll go with New England.
And I'm going to say they're going to win by 7.
Wow. I'd take that money. I'd go to Vegas with that. You could probably get some long. I haven't seen the lines. I'm going to say that actually New England's probably about a 7 or 8 point favorite would be my guess.
Denver was a 7 or 8 point favorite in the last game.
I'm going to go with New England, and in the NFC Championship game, my heart says Green Bay, my brain says Seattle.
I'm going to say Green Bay.
Wow. So you're going with both road teams.
Yep.
Yesterday's Green Bay-Dallas game was referred to as Ice Bowl 2. Now, as a meteorologist and someone that really pays attention to the weather. The temperature in the 1967 Ice Bowl was roughly 15 degrees below zero. The temperature yesterday was at kickoff was somewhere between 20 and 25 above zero.
And get it, now we have heated fans and heated bleachers and pocket warmers and.
But 15 below was real. In fact, I read up a little bit on it because they were tossing that term around so loosely and ridiculously in the lead up to the game. I went back and I read a little bit on it. It was so cold that when the first official put his metal whistle to his lips to blow it, his lips froze to it. They pulled it out and pulled the skin off of his lips.
God.
But he didn't bleed because it was so cold. His blood froze.
Wow.
Now that's Ice Bowl.
That game would have been canceled nowadays.
I think you're right. I think it would have.
And that just goes to show how sissified.
Well, they talked
we're
about
getting.
Canceling that one.
No way.
Not canceling. They talked about postponing it because of the weather forecast. And again, weather forecasting, for all of the beefing and complaining you hear about it, it's come a long way over the past 45 years. But the weather forecast for that day was for the temperature to be about 10 above. And they did consider postponing it until Monday, but they went ahead and played it, but it ended up being 15 below. And not only that, it had a pretty stiff wind that was pushing the wind chill factor into the 40 below range. So, I mean, it was dangerously cold out there. And there was a college band, I think, or a high school band at the game, and I think they did something pregame, but then they didn't do anything else. So there were definitely a lot of things that didn't go on that normally do, but they did play the game. It was seriously cold, but yesterday was not an Ice Bowl 2. It was a playoff game in Green Bay, Wisconsin in January.
I mean, was it even snowing?
It was no, it didn't. There might have been some flurries early in the day or something, but certainly no accumulating snow. And actually, the day was the high temperature was right along average for the time of year for Green Bay. So it was a good game, but it wasn't an Ice Bowl. It wasn't an Ice Bowl 2. It was just a good playoff game on a January day in Green Bay. Tell you what, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we will discuss briefly the college national championship game that has just ended, and we'll see if there's anything else that we want to throw in there. Okay, so we have a new national champion in college football now. Ohio State has just defeated Oregon 42-20. We were at work, and I was recording the game. When I walked through the door, Oregon had just scored to get it to within 21 to 20. And, man, from that point on, I mean, it was all Ohio State. I guess the good part of the game was what I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was listening to it on my little work radio, and it was a really good game, back and forth. I did not see Ohio State even being in the top 4, and here they are winning it. So,
well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because going into the conference championship weekend, before the games were played, they weren't in the conversation.
That's true.
They were not in the conversation, and then they come out and they beat Wisconsin. It was like 59-0 or 59-7. I mean, it was just an
And what was it they were playing for? Like, they had someone hurt or someone passed away?
They had both.
Yeah.
They had both. They had a guy. They had a player. Well, okay, that was Cardale Jones's first start.
Yes.
Because I believe their backup quarterback had just gotten hurt. So this was guy number 3. This was their third string quarterback, who's So he was getting his first start, but then they also had, if I remember correctly, they had a player take his own life during that week. So they come in with obviously
very emotional game.
Right, a very emotional game, a lot to play for, and I really thought that had a lot to do with
them getting it.
Them having that big game like that.
And I'm pretty sure our agreement was that the emotion of that one game wouldn't carry over to the rest of the games.
That's exactly what I thought.
But it did.
I mean, whether it was emotion carrying over or momentum or just we're that damn good.
Yeah.
I mean, then they go and they take it to Alabama, and you know what? Impressive, because they were down 21-6 to Alabama early, and I thought, well, this is over. Fold up the tent.
I was right.
Yeah. That one game they shot their wad in that one game, but man, they came rip roaring back on Alabama, and now tonight they finish it. Urban Meyer's now 3-0 in national championship games, two at Florida, and one here at Ohio State. I was kind of pulling for Oregon. They've never won one. I was
pulling against them, but just for stupid reasons.
Yeah, for the uniforms.
Yeah, they sucky uniforms.
But, hey, congratulations to Ohio State and their fans. They did it. They came from, I won't say they came out of nowhere, but they definitely, if this was a horse race, if the whole season was a horse race, they entered the home stretch about 4 or 5 lengths back, and they had to pass several horses to get there. That's the way I would like to look at it. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, it was a good, I mean, you can tell the post-game interviews and everything, a lot of emotion. None of them probably expected to be where they ended up at the end of the year, so that's...
And
good.
Cardell Jones, he's back next year. I mean, he's...
Well, all of them are going to be back.
Right. They're a very young team, yeah. And Mariota now, he goes out having won the Heisman, but not the national championship. Is he coming out early?
I think so.
Okay. If you're... Tampa has the first pick, do you think...
I wouldn't go after Jameis Winston, that's for sure.
No, I wouldn't either.
Which I think he was bumped up to number 1 in the draft prediction order.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't take him anywhere.
He's like,
in the first
just
round.
look at Johnny Manziel, and then you've got Jameis Winston.
Even though
Jameis is better.
Well, from an off the field standpoint,
yes.
and from an issues standpoint. Now, as far as a physical pro quarterback, I believe Jameis Winston has a whole lot more to offer
than Manziel.
But I mean, his non-football stuff may even be more whack than Manziel's is. And now we're speaking of Manziel, so we're seeing reports of him skiing in Aspen and him, being here. I'm starting to think that now he's just everywhere.
Sightings,
yeah. I think I'm gonna someday have a Johnny Manziel sighting. maybe when I go to the Bob Seger concert next month. So anyway, Ohio State takes it all. Congratulations to them. College football is over for the season. That wraps up the football conversation. Over the weekend, one thing I paid attention to, in addition to the Golden Globe Awards, was the Unity Rally in Paris after the tragic events of last week.
Did you see the pictures and videos?
I did.
All the people that showed up for that. It reminded me of 9/11, just all the countries.
It was a massive humanity. To me, looking out over that sea of people, it looks like when the scenes you see when the Pope goes somewhere.
It was a vigil or what's?
I guess it was a march, just a rally, just hey, we're all going to stand together.
Kind of like the Boston bombing. Hey, Boston.
I think even bigger.
Well, we were way bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the White House is getting a lot of heat, or I guess America is getting a lot of heat for not sending anybody. Did you hear about that?
Well, okay. But, we had 4 NFL playoff games in the Golden Globes this weekend. We can't do everything.
Okay.
Okay, seriously, though. I did see a little something that we didn't have somebody there. And I'd have to say that's a faux pas.
A faux pas, huh?
Is that a French word?
I don't know.
I think it is. If it's not, it should be.
A faux pas. What does that mean? A lie?
No, a faux pas is when you make a mistake.
Okay.
Oh, that was, it was kind of a breach of etiquette, so to speak.
Yeah.
but a little more intense.
So I'm guessing they ended up sending somebody after everyone flipped out on why isn't America in on this?
Well, I don't think you can attend a rally after the rally's over unless you're maybe sending a cleanup crew or something.
So what? I mean, I'm confused at what. So they just didn't send anybody.
They didn't send anybody, but I guess I don't know. We'll do something, but
we'll give them back the Statue of Liberty.
Wow, now there's a gesture right there. Oh, no, I think that's a little too much. Although
what did we do to even get the Statue of Liberty?
We fought England,
okay.
and that, I mean, France. That was their whole thing with us, was they hated England. So anybody that was sticking it to the British was, they liked. I'm not a historian, but I think that's why they liked us.
Sounds
so much.
Spot on to me.
Yeah.
So what else we got going on in the news world?
I think that's it. We've got our football set for next weekend. America will end up sending somebody over to the post-rally, but estimated about 3 million people at the rally, and we didn't have any official representation. I'm sure there were people there, but the White House didn't send any official representation. So bad for us. We should have done better on that.
So John, I shared you a video, and we were talking about this just probably last week. Of your example was heavily fog areas that it's always foggy, and we need to invent something, some sort of the strips in the road light up red or something, letting you know there's something going on up there.
Right.
And the video I sent you was just it was scary.
Scary, and that was of a snowstorm.
Yeah.
That had greatly limited visibility. I believe it was I-94 in Michigan.
Yeah. Snow
squalls coming off of Lake Michigan. And yeah, the fog thing you mentioned, I don't know, it's just an idea I had, because a lot of time you're driving in certain areas, and it says, fog, dense fog likely or possible next few miles,
but that it doesn't tell you there's an accident.
Right, it doesn't tell you anything, and it seems like it would be fairly easy with the technology we have now to put something in place that when a stationary object becomes placed on a highway, that sign is not just a static sign that says fog likely, but that sign is actually flashing obstruction ahead 1/4 mile, 1/2 mile.
There were guys going fast.
And with regards to the snow, there were guys, cars and trucks.
It was scary,
plowing in. And
and there's nothing. The guy filming, what's he gonna do? I mean, he can't.
Well, you might think, well, run up the road and alert people, but you're putting your, how well can you be seen?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems
my idea I had was a majority of that pileup was 18-wheelers. They all have CB radios. A lot of them don't use CB radios anymore because people are on them being stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So they just turn them off. But I was thinking maybe some kind of like the little reflectors in the middle have lights in them, and a trucker, there's always an 18-wheeler on the road, can activate it through a CB through some emergency channel, and as soon as the cops are notified, them lights are blinking red.
You would think
something is.
You would really,
and it's not like I'm talking every street in America,
right?
I'm talking, like you said, heavily fog areas
or places that are prone to snow ban. Most of the places that snow don't have snow so heavy that this visibility drops below 1/4 mile for lengths of time. But in these lake effect snow bands, it does set up. It just seems like there would, like you're talking about, and like I mentioned with the fog, a way to warn that there are objects on the road ahead that are not moving. And, meaning there's an accident. So instead of a 3 or a 5 or a 7 or an 8 car accident becoming a 60, 70, 80, 90.
There was one Christmas, I think 2 years ago, it was like 100, 200 cars
right. And
in Texas somewhere.
Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like the fix on this would be fairly easy and fairly inexpensive. I think there was one fatality, and
that's surprising. We're going to share the video on our page, and if there's any engineers out there looking at, I don't know,
giving away my $1 million idea. I just lost on $1 million bet to you. Now you're giving away my $1 million idea. But I don't have the technical wherewithal to make anything of it. But it would be great. And I think fairly inexpensive, and would save property and lives if there was some way to alert people in these areas, in these fairly small areas that have these kind of issues that can crop up suddenly from a weather standpoint. But yeah, we'll share that video. I think we've hit it.
Podcast news. We're going to. I want to start doing what book I'm on, because last year I did a 100 book challenge, and I kind of I'm not going to challenge myself to do 100 books, but I'll probably get somewhere around there. So
you're going to recommend books?
No, I'm just going to kind of talk about the one I'm reading.
Okay, because I was going to say, you're not going to be Oprah.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to start an Evans 100 book club. Evans Reading Rainbow. And I figured, since that's, I guess, would be an art, or what's that, a hobby,
it's
I
a
guess?
leisure activity. It's a hobby.
Leisure activity. So as I share my books I'm reading, I figure you could share what painting you're working on or thinking about working on or whatever.
Well, here's what I'll do. We'll on occasion, I'll shoot a picture of a painting I'm working on before it's finished, and we'll
like show the
process. Kind of show the process on our side. We'll down the road. I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll do some of that, and some people can go on and look at the process.
And we'll make a little jingle for it too.
A jingle.
We need a name and a jingle.
I have nothing.
Me neither. I like the Reading Rainbow, but that's been used. You've never heard of the Reading Rainbow?
I've never heard of the Reading Rainbow.
Oh.
It's not the Rainbow Connection by the Muppets, is it?
No, it's like some when it was in the 90s. So,
okay.
So I'm surprised I'm telling you about something that happened in the 90s.
I had already checked out.
But, out of the kid area.
You keep in mind, I listen to 70s music all the time. Now, if it happened in the 70s, I could tell you about it.
So, thank you for listening. We love our audience, and we just wanted y'all to know that we appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to us. And John, hit them with the info.
Thank you so much for the feedback we've gotten to this point. We've really gotten some good stuff over the past few days. Send us an email at theboomerandxshow@yahoo.com.
Yeah, that's it.
And subscribe, right? Subscribe to iTunes.
It's way easier. Once you subscribe on iTunes, everything we post, every episode we drop, you've got it. You don't have to go on the Facebook and click the link and go to the website. Even though we want you to do it, because it, spreads our stuff around, but.
Well, I don't have any, beyond spread my stuff around. I don't think I have anything to say. Good.
So yeah, go to our iTunes, leave us some reviews, and we appreciate it.
Good night and have a safe week.